Good evening, and welcome to Third Church of Christ Scientist of New York City. Let's begin with singing hymn number 43, 4-3. Come unto me, ye weary, and I will give you rest. O tender words of Jesus, which come to hearts oppressed. They tell of benediction, of pardon, grace, and peace, of joy that hath no ending, of love which cannot cease. Number 43. I'll read from the Bible and from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. The subject of this evening's readings is peace. The Bible. The work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and assurance forever. And my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Mark. Jesus withdrew himself with his disciples to the sea, and a great multitude from Galilee followed him, and from Judea. And he began again to teach by the seaside, and there was gathered unto him a great multitude, so that he entered into a ship and sat in the sea. And the whole multitude was by the sea on the land. And the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, Let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose, and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God, that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that was done. And they come to Jesus, and see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion, sitting and clothed, and in his right mind. Matthew. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. John. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Hitherto have ye asked nothing in my name. Ask, and ye shall receive, that your joy may be full. These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs. But the time cometh, when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, but I shall show you plainly of the Father. At that day ye shall ask in my name, and I say not unto you that I will pray the Father for you, for the Father himself loveth you, because ye have loved me, and have believed that I came out from God. His disciples said unto him, Lo, now speakest thou plainly, and speakest no proverb. Now are we sure that thou knowest all things, and needest not that any man should ask thee. By this we believe that thou camest forth from God. Jesus answered them, Do ye now believe? Behold, the hour cometh, yea, is now come, that ye shall be scattered, every man on his own, to his own, and shall leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. I'll now read correlative passages from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, by Mary Baker Eddy. Today, the healing power of truth is widely demonstrated as an immanent, eternal science instead of a phenomenal exhibition. Its appearing is the coming anew of the gospel of, on earth, peace, goodwill toward men. This coming, as was promised by the Master, is for its establishment as a permanent dispensation among men. But the mission of Christian Science now, as in the time of its earlier demonstration, is not primarily one of physical healing. Now, as then, signs and wonders are wrought in the metaphysical healing of physical disease. But these signs are only to demonstrate its divine origin, to attest the reality of the higher mission of the Christ power to take away the sins of the world. If men understood their real spiritual source to be all blessedness, they would struggle for recourse to the spiritual and be at peace. But the deeper the error into which mortal mind is plunged, the more intense the opposition to spirituality, till error yields to truth. The poor, suffering heart needs its rightful nutriment, such as peace, patience in tribulation, and a priceless sense of the dear Father's loving kindness. Our Heavenly Father, divine love, demands that all men should follow the example of our Master and his apostles and not merely worship his personality. It is sad that the phrase divine service has come so generally to mean public worship instead of daily deeds. The nature of Christianity is peaceful and blessed, but in order to enter into the kingdom, the anchor of hope must be cast beyond the veil of matter into the Shekinah into which Jesus has passed before us. And this advance beyond matter must come through the joys and triumphs of the righteous, as well as through their sorrows and afflictions. Like our Master, we must depart from material sense into the spiritual sense of being. The God-inspired walk calmly on, though it be with bleeding footprints, and in the hereafter they will reap what they now sow. The pampered hypocrite may have a flowery pathway here, but he cannot forever break the golden rule and escape the penalty due. The proofs of truth, life, and love which Jesus gave by casting out error and healing the sick completed his earthly mission. But in the Christian church, this demonstration of healing was early lost, about 3 centuries after the crucifixion. No ancient school of philosophy, materia medica, or scholastic theology ever taught or demonstrated the divine healing of absolute science. Jesus foresaw the reception Christian science would have before it was understood. But this foreknowledge hindered him not. He fulfilled his God mission and then sat down at the right hand of the Father. This material world is even now becoming the arena for conflicting forces. On one side, there will be discord and dismay. On the other side, there will be science and peace. The breaking up of material beliefs may seem to be famine and pestilence, want and woe, sin, sickness, and death, which assume new phases until their nothingness appears. These disturbances will continue until the end of error, when all discord will be swallowed up in spiritual truth. Glory be to God, and peace to the struggling hearts. Christ hath rolled away the stone from the door of human hope and faith, and through the revelation and demonstration of life in God, hath elevated them to possible at-one-ment with the spiritual idea of man and his divine principle, love. The effects of Christian Science are not so much seen as felt. It is the still, small voice of truth uttering itself. We are either turning away from this utterance, or we are listening to it and going up higher. Willingness to become as a little child and to leave the old for the new renders thought receptive of the advanced idea. Gladness to leave the false landmarks and joy to see them disappear, this disposition helps to precipitate the ultimate harmony. The purification of sense and self is a proof of progress. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Unless the harmony and immortality of man are becoming more apparent, we are not gaining the true idea of God, and the body will reflect what governs it, whether it be truth or error, understanding or belief, spirit or matter. Therefore, acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Let's pray together in silence for a few moments, and then pray aloud together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Let's sing hymn number 136, 136. I love thy way of freedom, Lord. To serve thee is my choice. In thy clear light of truth I rise, and listening for thy voice, I hear thy promise, old and new, that bids all fear to cease. My presence still shall go with thee, and I will give thee peace. Number 136. This church is a branch of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, Massachusetts. We hold Sunday services at 11 a.m. and Wednesday testimony meetings at 7:30 p.m. We also have services in Spanish, Sundays at 12 noon and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. All services are held in person and online, and all are welcome. Third Church offers Sunday school classes in person and online for children and teens. These free 1-hour classes are available each Sunday. At Sunday school, students learn how much God loves them and cares for them. They also learn about the Bible characters and lessons and the healing power of prayer. For more information on times and classes, please send us an email, thirdchurch@thirdchurchnyc.com. Replays in English and Spanish are available of this church's Christmas Eve talk by Bobby Lewis, a Christian Science practitioner, on the topic, Make Room at the Inn. Please visit our website, thirdchurchnyc.com. Other inspirational talks are also available on our website. This meeting is now open for all to share experiences of healing and spiritual insights that prove God's ever-presence and power in their lives. If you're listening by telephone and would like to speak, press *6 and wait until your line is unmuted. Please speak directly into the microphone of your phone. Your message will be easier to hear if you do not use the speaker function. If you're watching via Zoom, you can choose the raise your hand icon or unmute yourself and speak.
Thank you for your readings. It's certainly gratifying that there is a ceasefire that seems to be holding in Gaza and in the Middle East, generally in that area. I think it's a far distance from peace. A ceasefire is certainly a progressive step, but the quality of peace is to be, I think, without fear and without hatred. If those two elements are overcome, then I think one approaches peace. And I'm very grateful for the teaching, the training in the church to study the scriptures and see the message of the preaching of the coming of the kingdom of God, that it's present, that it's within us, and is the quality of prayer, of being able to pray and having a meaningful conversation with God, is an element of peace, and brings us closer to understanding that in all the turmoil and stress that we incur in human living, yet when thought is lifted up, you get a certain dominion over the adversity of life and matter. It's there are, to have the quality of thought of God's presence and our oneness with God and our spiritual nature of our existence is a wonderful way, a wonderful objective, and the path is always being opened up when we turn and listen for it. I found solace in the lesson this week on truth and the unchanging nature of truth, that truth and grace are effective beyond all other means and methods. And that spiritual truth, that of affirmation of where power is, gives us hope that we'll see justice, and that's not compromised by fear and a personal sense of power. For all the uplifting thoughts and the strengthening truth, I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for those lovely readings. And I think about the subject and the readings. So many times I've had difficult situations come up. And I was working with my teacher a lot during these years that I had these difficult trials. And he would say to me, you don't do or you don't say anything until you get your sense of peace. And that was quite an amazing thing, because I would always, the circumstances are yelling and screaming, oh, do this, do that, you got to do this. And no, you don't do or say anything until you get your sense of peace. And of course, I would think, well, I'll use the scientific statement of being, and I'm not just going to say it once or twice. I'm going to say it over and over until it sinks in and I get that sense of peace. And at the time, the first time I tried this, I think I was having some kind of state tax matter involved, state tax matter. And I did that. I just got my sense of peace, didn't say or do anything, and it just evaporated, vanished away. And I have seen over and over again, that's what happens, because what it is, what he pointed out was, then we're dealing with something as it's real. We're dealing with the dream as though it's not a dream, it's something true, it's something real. And it's just action, reaction, and you're just going to have a bigger problem. But when we refuse, we see this is just a dream, and this is just mortal mind trying to get us to think something other than good is real. If we refuse to do that, then it just goes. And so I have learned a great lesson in dealing with things that way. And this was a reminder tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your beautiful readings. It reminds me, when I come into the fold of Christian Science, it was an experience like I always memorize from the school, even though we are not having any preference of language. My first language was Hindi and not English. But quotations from the other books, which certainly reminds us. It definitely showed me the difference between the other writings than studying the Christian Science, any material, and especially during my early days, I study most of the Sentinel's articles, very few in a journal, but it was so enlightening to me. It brings a newness to my life, the truth of being is known through these wonderful statements and teachings of Christian Science. But I still remember one of the quotations which when I was in high school, that statement which reminds me, the last rays of the sun still lingering on the top of the tree. There is a hope for a lonely traveler through the wild jungles to reach his destination. That was the concept which I had. And when I study, when I spent a lot of time and knowing the difference between the other religions, philosophy or doctrines, but the Christian Science brought me a newness in my life. And this hope which I found in Christian Science, there is one more beautiful statement Mrs. Eddy has given in the textbook. Christian Science brings to the body the sunlight of truth, which invigorates, and it says,
purifies.
yes, yeah, that it neutralizes the error with truth. That was the wonderful statement which I had. And also when I was new and then I was facing many challenges, many complicated situations to understand, and other religions, teachings and other things, which brings a lot of confusion. But however, the wonderful statements of Christian Science, another statement which brings always peace and strength to my heart and my life. That statement is, Christian Science is a sovereign panacea. Christian Science is a sovereign panacea, giving strength to the weakness of the mortal mind. And that strength from omnipotent mind and omnipotent and omnipresent. That is the source. And also at the end it says, which uplifts with higher. These wonderful truths which certainly enlighten my way of thinking, and that knowing the truth of being, which certainly brought an elevation in my way of thinking, and then my total old situations which I was, old tradition, old teachings, which are corrected through this Christian Science. Christian Science is like, I still remember there is it's in prose works. The people somewhere in Western Africa, those people never saw the ice flowing from the rivers from far off place, and when they saw those ice cubes or ice rolls in the river, then they were surprised because they never see the ice anytime. So it was there is some situation in the prose works I could see, I could understand that, and that made me so wonderful way of life in Christian Science. through the wonderful teachings of Christian Science, which certainly destroys the erroneous, false teachings and false ways of living, which certainly helped me to come by that. I was able to certainly, it took me a lot of, 3-4 years to understand Christian Science, because I was not my background, my language was different. But I'm grateful to God that Christian Science has certainly brought a new concept of life, to know the truth of being. And I'm grateful ever since. I've been wonderfully blessed, not only for my life, but even wherever I was coming in contact with the many other denominations or many friends. Then they made a wonderful knowing what Christian Science is. And I was able to explain, and I was able to share with that. So I'm grateful for this. The Christian Science has brought a new concept in my life. Thank you for the reading.
Thank you.
Say that I'm thankful for tonight's readings. I really enjoyed them. I'm also grateful to be a part of the Christian Science family, and I'm learning every day new things. Just ask that just keep going and keep Christian Science alive, and it's really helping me through some things. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimonies, remarks, presence, and your prayers during the service. Let's conclude with singing of hymn number 263. 263. Only God can bring us gladness. Only God can give us peace. Joys are vain that end in sadness. Joy divine shall never cease. Mid the shade of want and sorrow, undisturbed, our hearts rejoice. Patient, wait the brighter morrow. Faithful, heed the Father's voice. As the stars in order going, all harmonious he doth move, heavenly calm and comfort showing, comes the healing word of love. Who the word of wisdom heareth, feels the Father love within, where as dawn the shadow cleareth, love outshines the night of sin. So we find the true atonement, know in God the perfect friend, for in love is our at-one-ment, where all hearts in him may blend. Here, from prisoning pain and sorrow, have we all a sure release. Only God can bring us gladness. Only God can give us peace. Number 263.